One of the common questions that I get asked is, how can I be more productive? How can I achieve the goals that I've set for myself? And what I'd like to do today is take you through 4 tips and tools that I use and have helped me write my book, make changes in my life, be more productive. So the first, I guess, tip, if you like, is about cues. Cues leads to cravings. And a cue is something that we see, we hear, we smell, something that the senses can pick up. And the easiest example that I can give for this is walking down the street. And suddenly there's a waft through the air of a food that you love. Whether it's chocolate, coffee, a curry, doesn't matter. It hits you and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I really want that right now. You get a craving. So a cue is all about that trigger point, that prompt in your environment. Again, smell is a great example, but it could be something that you see, it could be something that you feel and touch, and then suddenly you have a craving for something. The challenge is that this often means we fall into a trap. And I've been guilty of this myself. I know that there's food, I can smell it, or I've seen it, I've bought bad stuff, or somebody's given it to me and I know that it's there, and then I'll have a craving for it. I'll want the ice cream, or the chocolate, or the cake, or the biscuits, or any of those sorts of things. Because the cues are there, they're visible in my environment, or I know that they are there and that stuff is accessible. So yes, I have fallen into that trap myself on more than one occasion. It's something that I'm trying to work through. And if the cues are there, we're more likely to take that action. Okay, we can take that and we understand that, which means we can flip that. If we make those cues less visible or less accessible, for example, the food's not there, we don't smell it, we don't see it, we don't know it's in the cupboard, it's harder to take the action. We may have to go to the shop to get what it is that we were, potentially had in the cupboard in the past. So by removing the cue, we're less likely to have the craving, less likely to take the action. Which means if there are positive things that we want to do, we can also create cues for those. Maybe it's an apple on the table and it prompts us to have an apple a day. There's that age-old saying of an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Maybe it's making your gym kit more visible, having it, ready to go at the end of the day when you get back from work, or first thing in the morning, depending on what time works best for you. But it's about having it visible and accessible. Maybe one of the things that you've set yourself to do this year is improve a musical instrument or write your book. So maybe if it's a musical instrument, having that instrument visible and accessible somewhere within your home will prompt you to pick it up and start practicing. If it's writing a book, maybe it's the notepad and the pen or your laptop or something that you use or can use as a prompt to say, yes, I set myself the goal of writing, okay? I can see all of the stuff there that I use for my writing time. That then becomes the prompt, and it's like, okay, yes, I'm going to sit down and do this. So we can change our environment to have positive cues, and we can change our environment to remove the negative cues. And that's certainly something that has helped me. In the past, I made some changes in my environment. It became easier to do certain things. I hid negative things away, I got rid of some of them, and made those changes. So that's the first tip. It's a productivity type of tip to help you achieve your goals. Be more productive, because if you've watched the videos around 12 chains, about the Chain to Champion program, the exercises that I get people to do, it's all about focused repetition. It's all about being productive and consistent. And so having those cues visible and accessible and we're more likely to take the action we want to take, it can help us move forward towards the goals that we've set. And number 2 is about structure. This was something that was brought to my attention as I spoke to a former professional rugby player. He said the biggest difference between being average, being a professional, it's all about the structures. Professional athletes have structures for training, nutrition, recovery, and match day, and travel, and everything else that they do within, I guess, the sphere that they operate within. In our daily lives, we probably have some structures. Maybe it's the way that we make coffee and it's the same every day. Maybe it's the way we brush our teeth or tie our shoes. We have structures, but we don't often put structures in place to help us work towards our goals. So if we've got a goal of writing a book, what structures can we put in place? Maybe it's research, then write. Maybe it's research, get feedback on the research, write, get feedback on what we've written. Maybe we have a small group of people that we get feedback from, or a coach or something like that. That's a basic structure. Maybe it's exercise, get a gym kit, putting in the bag, go to the gym, do the exercise, come back, have a shower, have dinner. That's a structure. It's a structure for going to the gym and then coming back. So structures can help us be more consistent in the things that we want to do. I mentioned professional sports people, they have, okay, here's my nutrition plan. It's going to be exactly the same. I know what I have to take in. I know what's bad for me and I'm not meant to do. I know my recovery. Okay, there's, maybe there's an ice bath, or there's some stretches that I need to do after every session. Maybe there's some extra vitamins and supplements that I need to take. They've got it all mapped out. And so that's something that we can start to introduce to our lives, because the consistency, I mentioned it, is what helps us build towards our goals. The phrase of freedom and the acrostic that I made, focused repetition, those are the first 2 pieces of it. Focused repetition enables experiences, dreams, opportunities, and money. Let's be consistent. Let's create those structures for ourselves so that we know this is how something's going to work. Okay, I'm going to sit down and do this thing, or work on this thing, or I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to do this. This is the structure. This is how it's going to go. So that's the second one. The third tool and tip that I want to touch on today, time boxing. Time boxing is a tool that I've used myself very regularly, and it helped me write my book in about 60 days. Time boxing is when we look at our calendar and we say, okay, what are the things that I want to do? What are the things that I'm working towards, or that I want to get completed? And we allocate time in the calendar for that thing. So for me, it was writing. And I created a time box in my calendar that said, every morning, I'm going to spend 2 hours thinking about my book, writing. And I would walk to a coffee shop and I would sit down and I'd put my music on, and then I would write. I would tap away on my keyboard, and sometimes it was a full chapter, sometimes it was editing a chapter, sometimes it was going back and making tweaks here and there based on conversations that I'd had. But I'd made that commitment to writing the book, and I'd time boxed in so that every morning I had time allocated to writing. And the thing with time boxing is, if we put those time boxes in our calendar and we can see them, we're more likely to do them. It could be 30 minutes, it could be 45 minutes, an hour. Obviously, it depends on how much time you have available, the goals that you set, and the things that you want to get done. The key thing is, if it's in the calendar, you are more likely to do it. And that was certainly the case for me. Every time I opened it up in the morning, I would look at it and it would smack me in the face and say, Phil, you said you were going to do some writing today. Here's the reminder. Are you going to do it? Or are you going to say, yeah, maybe not today? In which case, you're taking a step backwards. You're not making progress. So time boxing is a great tool for that. I have other things in my calendar. So as I'm doing the challenges that I've set myself, a video every day for a year, I would time box that. I would know based on time zone differences in different parts of the world, when I was going to try and post. Most of it was early evenings that I had the full day to think about what my message would be, if there was key things that happened within my day that I could then talk about. So I would then think, okay, there's a period here in the evening, that's going to be the time that I create and post my videos. So it was a loose time box, but at least I had an idea of when I was going to do that thing. So time boxing has been a great tool for me, and there's an easy way to get started. First step is create a list of the things that you want to do, the things you want to get done or completed, or the goals that you want to work towards. Second part is, how much time do you think they're going to need, either every day or every week? Make a note of that. Third, open up your calendar. Start creating calendar invites for yourself to say, okay, for this activity, I think I'm going to need half an hour. Okay, I can see there's a gap here. Right, I'm going to put it in. I'm going to create that calendar slot, that time box for this activity. And then set it as recurring. Does it need to be every day? Is it every week? How are you setting yourself up for success? And what does your calendar need to look like to support you? It may be that there's only one or two things in there. That's absolutely fine. You may have lots of goals. It's like, okay, how can I put these in? Which are the priorities? Where am I going to fit them? Maybe it's a whole Saturday morning. I'm going to get through 4 different things and I'm going to stack them all together and time box them, and there's an hour for each. And okay, that's my focus time on building my business, or doing something else that you want to progress on. Maybe it is the exercise, maybe it's the instrument, maybe it's the reading. Doesn't matter. The important thing is having that time allocated within your calendar. So that's number 3, time boxing, and it has been a great help for me. And the fourth one is a freedom tracker. This is something that's part of my Chained to Champion program. And if you've done all the precursor work of thinking about the 12 chains and starting to break free of those, the freedom tracker is a way for us to do more of the things that we want and do less of the things that we know are not helping us. And so there are 2 sections on the freedom tracker. The top section is all about the do more. And there's some rows in there for activities, for relationships, and for knowledge. What are the activities that we want to do more of? Do them more frequently. For me, the first freedom tracker that I did at the start of 2024, I wanted to write more emails to the community. I wanted it to be daily. I was already doing my daily videos, so I wanted to add on to that. So my 2 activity rows were daily emails and daily videos. And then every day that I did that thing, I would mark it down. I would say, yeah, here's a tick or a cross to say I've done it. For knowledge, what knowledge do we want to gain? Maybe it's taking a course and learning a new skill. Maybe it's reading a book. Every time we do that thing or we spend some time on it, we can mark it down and say, yes, I've done that. Either, tick or cross, whichever works for you. But it's about having a tracker to say, these are the commitments that I've made. These are the things that I want to work on. These are the things I want to do more of. And then as you do those things, you mark them. For the do less section, it's almost the opposite. What are the things that we want to do less of that we know aren't helping us? So for mine, I had things like, I don't want to order a takeaway. So every time I got to the end of the day and was like, I didn't order a takeaway today. Great, I can mark that down. That was a success because I didn't do the thing that I didn't want to do, or I wanted to do less of. So I then had do less than 2 hours of watching TV. So if I got to the end of the day and I'd watched less than 2 hours, I could mark it down. That had been a successful day. Same with playing video games or going to the shop and buying bad stuff. because I've got a sweet tooth and, you know, I've enjoyed my cakes and my biscuits and my chocolate over the years, I would often go to the shop and I'd look at the offer and I'd be like, ooh, what's there? What's available? And I would fall into that trap. I would buy the things. So for my Freedom Tracker, one of the changes that I wanted to make was buy less bad stuff. So every time I got to the end of the day and I hadn't bought something, I could mark it as a success. And so this Freedom Tracker does two things. Helps us see the progress that we're making in certain areas. So certainly the do more. What are those things that we want to focus on and do more of? And the do less section. What are the things that we've decided we want to do less of? Maybe it's drink less, maybe it's eat less, maybe it's spend less time with someone who makes us feel awkward or drains our energy. And we can put that, there are rows for that, for the people and the relationships that we want to spend less time on because they're negative relationships for us. The other thing that it enables us to do is to see patterns. Am I being successful? Are there certain days or periods where I've been unsuccessful? I've not done the thing that I said I would, or I've done the thing that I didn't want to do anymore, or I wanted to do less of. So we start to be able to see that pattern over time, and we can then make notes and go, okay, is there a reason why I wasn't successful in doing this every day or every week? Is there a reason why I fell into the trap? What was that? What can I adjust for next week or next month? So there is a section then for making notes that we can reflect on how we've done. And it means as we build up month by month, again, we can have that view of, I was successful in this. I was successful. Okay, yeah, I was making progress. This is great. Now I can see where I am. I can see where I started. I can see, oh, there's maybe a couple of things that I need to tweak here. Oh, knowledge. I've gained the knowledge in a particular area. Now I'm moving on to a different book. Maybe it's, you know, a different topic that I want to understand, or a course that I'm taking. So we can gain the knowledge and improve our skills, improve our ability to do certain things. So the Freedom Tracker is a great tool that I use myself. It's part of the Change to Champion program, and it's a mechanism. It's more of a hands-on and written stuff there. You know, the other tools and tips that I've presented here are things that you can do, you know, environment change with the cues, time boxing in the calendar, thinking about structures so that you have repeatable processes. The Freedom Tracker is now more about creating a log of things, having a record of what it is that you've done or not done, so that you can see the progress that you are making. So those are 4 tips and tools that have helped me be more productive and work towards my goals.